Muslim women do not have the same rights
but
than men.
you as a woman,
don't want them to bring back their husbands and their son and their brothers and their uncles and then turn our countries into Muslim ones. This is what will not happen with AfD.
You're leaping to a conclusion there, but the Afghan women who are in Germany at the moment, do you as a woman have any sympathy for the fact that if they're sent back to Afghanistan, they will have to cover themselves entirely and they won't be able to speak in public? Do you sympathise with their plight?
Absolutely not.
Now, Friedrich Merz's Christian Democrats may have been the winner of Germany's general election, but no one could ignore the rise of the hard-right Alternative for Germany, or AfD. They secured more than 20% of the vote. Elon Musk has congratulated Alice Weidel, the leader of the AfD, and predicted they'd be the majority party by the next election. Well, I'm joined now by Beatrix von Storck, who is deputy leader of the AfD parliamentary group. Good afternoon, Beatrix.
Good afternoon.
So 1 in 5 voters picked the AfD. How much help do you think Elon Musk was to you?
I don't really think that him speaking out on behalf of AfD has pulled a lot of voters on our side. It's more about the general debate we're facing, and I think it gets more difficult by the day to ignore our party, to build firewalls and to declare that they do not want to work with us together and they do not want to talk to us, and some of them don't even want to shake our hands and just try to exclude us socially and politically. And that gets more difficult by the day. I think this is what it helps for. Well, it's not only Musk who was congratulating us and talking to us. It was Vice President J.D. Vance who received our head Alice Weidel in Munich. He did not have the time to meet our then still Chancellor Olaf Scholz, but he had time to meet Alice Weidel, so he knows who is the next one of importance.
But you can complain about the firewall, but there's very little you can do about it. All the main parties have vowed to keep it in place. So you're stuck, aren't you?
Not really. We had the same talks in Austria. We had the same talks in Netherlands. We had the same talks in, I don't know, Sweden. All those right-wing parties who were labeled to be, never ever in government. They will never be responsibility. They will never be in the government. They are now running the countries. And as far as I understand, is that Nigel Farage is back in UK. So
he's not running the country.
But no. But his party is gaining ground, and then one day you will have to face the fact that maybe he wins over Starmer and all the rest who are then history. So
reform is quite a way.
That it's far away. It's not that far away. If you look closer to what happened.
No, my point is that reform is a different cup of tea from the AfD. And, the main parties have very good reason to have this firewall in place because your own country's domestic intelligence classifies parts of the AfD as right-wing extremists.
Yes, and you see, it didn't work. It just didn't work. So we came in second. We almost had 21% of the votes, even though. And if you're talking about the this secret service or the domestic agency, it's the government. It's no one else than the government. So it's the interior minister who's head of this agency, and he decides where this agency should go. They are obliged by law to fulfill what the interior minister, so the government we were campaigning against, what's them to do.
But if you look at some of the people in your midst, I mean, your grandfather was a Nazi guilty of crimes against humanity. Amongst your 152 MPs is Matthias Helfferich, who's described himself as the friendly face of National Socialism.
He didn't.
In other words,
it's just not true.
Let me finish my sentence. Maximilian Krah. He said the SS, the Nazis' paramilitary force, were not all criminals. I mean, I just wonder whether voters knew what they were voting for.
They knew what they were voting for, because otherwise they would not have given us 21% of the votes. And I mean, you're naming 3 or 2 members of our party. That's fine. We've got 55,000 members. You mentioned 2 sentences which were said, which were stupid and wrong. But we are having, we're having 100,000 sentences spoken every single day. So you're just picking, 1, 2, drops from an ocean, and then you try to make up the story. And the
Well,
the
no,
important thing
wait.
is it doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
I'm not making up a story. I mean, let me give you another story if that wasn't enough for
Yeah,
you. I
another
mean, the
drop in
local,
the ocean.
well, the local
Go
AfD
ahead.
branch in North Rhine-Westphalia wanted to, or still wants to, expel Helfrich because he called for German citizens with immigrant backgrounds to be deported. He referred to them as animals. Do you agree with his sentiment?
No, I do not agree, and I want to make it very clear. What you're trying here didn't work. It didn't work in the past, and it will not work in the future, because people want political change. This is why they vote for us. And there might be a little problem here and another one there, but this is not the party. It's just drops in an ocean. And the ocean is, moving forward. And the ocean, what the people are voting for is political change. They want to stop illegal migration. We are the only ones to really, we will fulfill it. The others don't. We have seen that a day after the election. And we
Okay,
want
so
to
if the
rescue our
CDU,
economy.
but if the CDU clamps down on illegal immigration, as they have promised to, I accept your claim that, they haven't done that so far. But if they do what they have promised,
They
those
already said they
voters,
will
the
not
million
deliver.
voters who deserted the CDU for your party, might return to a more respectable, in inverted commas, party, mightn't they?
No, because if you might not have heard, but even a day after the election, Merkel, I always say Merkel, and I mean Merz. Merz already said he will not close down the borders. He was campaigning on a very tough stance on, I will close the border on the first day of my chancellorship. And this first day after the election, months before he might be elected chancellor, he said, I never said I want to close the border. So already now, people getting disappointed by the way Merz is speaking out.
Well,
So,
in the brief time that we have left, let me just talk about some of the things you've talked about, because you want to pursue a policy called remigration, which, as I understand it, is deporting migrants. Do you think women should be sent back to Afghanistan, where they can't even speak in public? Do you think a gay man should be sent back to Uganda, where he might face the death penalty, despite the fact that your leader is gay herself?
yes, and I'm very amused about all the British radio stations I talked to recently. They come up with a very single question, so I think you listen to yourself. But anyway, yes, I made that point very clear. Germany cannot take in 20 million women from Afghanistan, and then I don't know how many, 100 million from Pakistan. These are Islamic countries. They might be very strong Islamic countries, but what we do not want and what we will not do, we will not bring all the Muslim women from the world to Germany because they're coming from a Muslim country, where in Muslim countries, as we all know, Muslim women do not have the same rights than men.
You as a woman,
don't want them to bring back their husbands and their son and their brothers and their uncles and then turn our countries into Muslim ones. This is what will not happen with AfD.
You're leaping to a conclusion there, but the Afghan women who are in Germany at the moment, do you as a woman have any sympathy for the fact that if they're sent back to Afghanistan, they will have to cover themselves entirely and they won't be able to speak in public? Do you sympathise with their plight?
Absolutely not. This is why I want to keep Islam and the Islam way of living out of our country. Because if you want to live under an Islam law, you can do that, but not in our country.
Okay.
We don't want to change Germany or the European Union to another Muslim state.
Beatrix von Storck, we've got to leave it there, but thank you very much for joining us, the Deputy Leader of the AfD, on the German elections and the fallout.